For this lesson, we're going to put together everything we know about distributive property and combining like terms to be able to simplify expressions. So when I simplify an expression, typically I'm just going to clear the parentheses first and then combine like terms and write that number in standard form. So for instance, on my first expression, I have 4. Then I have a minus 3 that's being distributed into the 2x minus 8. Now I caution you to be very careful again with the negative. If I take negative 3 times 2x, that gives me negative 6x. If I take a minus 3 or negative 3 times a minus 8, those two negatives, remember, come together to make a positive. So 3 and 8 together is positive 24, and I still have this minus 1 on the outside. Now that I've cleared all of the parentheses, now I can combine like terms. So I see that I only have one value that has an x, so I'm going to write that first because standard form tells me that I should. The rest of these I can combine a 4 and a positive 24 to 28, and then 28 minus 1 would give me positive 27. Now if you wanted to do that in more steps, you're welcome to do it in more steps. For my second one, this one was kind of tricky. I threw a lot of negatives in just to make sure you're paying attention. A negative times a 6z is really only going to change the positive 6z to a negative 6z. The negative times the minus 10y, those two negatives make a positive, so it's plus 10y. Then I've got my minus 4. Remember, leave change opposite to make sure you remember that 4 is negative. Negative 4 times 3z is a negative 12z. You can write that as plus negative 12z or just minus 12z. A negative 4 times a positive y is negative 4y or minus 4y. And then I still have minus 8y at the end. Now I'm going to combine any y's together and any z's together. So for y's, I've got a 10y, a minus 4y, and a minus 8y. Again, you can do this in several steps if you like. I'm going to do this all together. So 10 and negative 4 together gives me positive 6, and positive 6 minus 8, those are different signs. I find the difference of 2. The bigger number is negative, so it's negative 2y. If you would like to use some of your properties to rearrange and combine those in parentheses, so the commutative to sort of switch things around and the associative to group them, you're welcome to do that. My z values, I've got a minus 6z and a minus 12z. Remember, those are the same sign. I find the sum of 18. They're both negative, so my sign is negative. So here's my final answer, negative 2y minus 18z. These are two for you to try, so go ahead and press pause. Do both of these questions, then press play to see how you did. For my first, again, I'm doing the distributive property here to get negative 2x squared, and negative 2 times minus 3 gives me positive 6x. I'm doing the same thing with the 5. Distribute the 5 to get positive 5x squared, and 5 times minus 7 is negative 35. And then, of course, I've got my plus 2x on the outside. When I combine like terms, I need to make sure I remember that x squareds go with x squareds, x to the first goes with x to the first, and constants, which are regular numbers, go together as well. So I've got a negative 2x squared and a positive 5x squared. Those combine together to make 3x squared. Then I have a positive 6x and a positive 2x. Positive 6 and positive 2 are the same sign, so I find the sum, and I get 8x. And the only one I haven't used is that minus 35. It doesn't combine with anything, but that's okay. I'm going to write it at the end of my expression. And for my last, again, I throw in some negatives. So negative 2 times 3p is negative 6p. Negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. Negative times a negative is positive. And then this negative is just going to change both of these signs, so minus 12p and minus 3. And now I'm going to combine like terms, so my p values, negative 6 and negative 12, come together to negative 18p, and then positive 12 and negative 3 come together to get positive 9, and that would be my final answer.